Hey guys, hope you'll join us this week as we make a new landscaping bed and we expand on a budget. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and ring that bell like Mike Tyson did in the 1980s. Looking forward to seeing exactly how this bed progresses. Dean Family Acres. Alright guys, here's our back door, crepe myrtle, and we have a good many irises planted all the way to, that was the free maple tree. If you hadn't seen that episode, go check that out. Alright guys, so we are up here checking out our location. We're going to expand this bed and see exactly what we're going to do and how it's going to end up. Been talking about doing this for quite some time. Kind of want to make it where we just extend this bed on out, and then we will eventually put a path going back to the back door. So one step at a time. Looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. All right guys, just want to give you an angle down here at ground level. So we got the free maple here down here at the corner. There is quite a bit of drop off here, and we also put one of our big stones there. I had thoughts of building up this area right in here, building the height up and building a wall to loop around. Just hadn't done that. Might eventually. Our wall that's supporting here definitely needs to be replaced at some point, but for now it'll work. So the idea is essentially to make this bed loop like that. Again, we've got tons of lilies right here next to the free maple, and then we also have tons of really beautiful irises and tons of volunteer crepe myrtle. So we may or may not try and save some of those. I've kind of learned that you can save them and pot them up if it's a good root system. If not, just get as much out as you possibly can. But again, this irises all the way down through here. So we're gonna need to kind of evaluate what we want to do, how we're gonna do this layout. And I've got a couple different things I'll talk about here in just a second. All right guys, so the idea with this bed, like I showed you earlier, is basically just kind of loop it around, make it a little bit easier to mow, etc. Our original goal was this, was basically just put those irises and lilies down that road, and that worked really well. Number one, because we just needed a place to put them. We had bought some and given some, and we had some multiply, so we need to kind of move those out and around. So that's what we did there. But we've also purchased other plants. Y'all might see some of these plants here that we've moved multiple different times. So you can kind of get a general idea of what we're looking at doing and how we're going to end up, incorporating some of this into this bed. When we do this, I'm kind of thinking about incorporating, I've got some red hot pokers that I want to incorporate. I probably could separate some irises, and I have more irises if I need them that I could pull from. I will say that we do have some opportunity for some Japanese maples that we were donated. I don't think these are going to go right here. If they do, they would go on the edge, just so they could lean that way. We do have another maple tree over by the shop that's not looking good. We actually had a big chunk of it fall off early. So a couple other ideas we're just thinking through. We've got a good many roses. We also have a variety of other different things that we're going to have to just think through how we want to incorporate it. For any of y'all who are plantaholics, you kind of have to think through how you're going to do that. All right guys, I think what we're gonna do is just mark this off, move some of these plants, and just get moving some dirt with the tractor. Got to get up these sprouting crepe myrtles, and then try and get up at least the top layer to get rid of the grass. That's what we did last time, just pick through it and get as much as we possibly can. Lastly, you definitely want to put mulch down after you get this done. If you don't do that, then you're gonna end up with grass and the exact same thing you had before. And even with that, you're still gonna have to keep picking. I do know that when we tried to, at least in that strip of those irises and lilies, we did a really good job, at least the first couple of years, keeping that mulched and then just pulling up any grass that came through. It stayed down pretty well, other than the crepe myrtle sprouts. But other than that, you know, those are the main things you got to do. So let's see if we can figure out exactly what we want to do and how we want this landscape to look coming into our back door. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you now exactly what we did. We went through with a shovel by hand, getting stuff that's close to the existing bed. I'm the only one out here right now, so I just wanted to make sure that I didn't mess up and go too close and damage some of the other plants that I've got planted. Although almost all of those are irises and they're pretty easy to see. Once we cleared out those crepe myrtles, we definitely had a lot of growth. You can see how much those irises are multiplying, etc. So set at least one out for a family member, so hopefully they're able to enjoy it. I don't know which color it is, but it is one of the ones that we did purchase. If you hadn't seen our live feed from several months ago when all those were blooming, go check that out here. That's an awesome video. You can see exactly all the different colors and varieties that we have of irises here on our homestead. So let me show you exactly what we did. Alright guys, so hopefully you were able to see us getting the bed cleared out with the tractor. You can do that with a flat tip shovel. It'll just take you a whole lot more work. Our biggest thing for doing that is to get the grass out of there. That seemed to work pretty well before, like I said, when we did that strip against the wall for the irises and the lilies. So at first I started to kind of go in and scrape. That wasn't really good. I went a little bit deep, hit a bigger root for this crepe myrtle. It's large enough, I think it'll be all right, but I ended up hitting several roots that were about this big in the crepe myrtle. So hopefully you're able to tell exactly what we're doing here. Again, when I went in with that bucket going forward, tilted down a little bit, it dug too deep. So what I ended up doing, as you saw in the time lapse, is kind of just turning the bucket this way and then pulling it back, and that really took that topsoil off pretty well. Again, I don't want to lose a lot of topsoil. However, one of the issues is basically getting those grass and the roots, but not going too deep. So we do have a little bit of topsoil here, but it is more red clay. So we'll amend just a little bit whenever we plant, specifically in those holes, and then over time when we mulch. For now we will use pine needles, which isn't exactly the best in regards to just the soil condition, that kind of thing. It breaks down, kind of just disappears. Hardwood mulch really does a better job. However, we've been on chip drop for at least 6 months. I've registered twice and I have heard nothing. I've stopped and asked the tree trimmer guys on our road, which is not a very long road, at least twice. Once talking to one of the workers, and second time talking to the boss and asking them please dump in my front yard, and we've gotten 0. So for those of you who are able to use chip drop, congratulations. I'm glad it's working for you. Another thing is, you know, just with that soil condition, you know, if you get the holes pretty decent, they will start spreading out. You don't want to make it so nutrient dense right in the hole that you're able to only keep those roots there. Again, with a lot of these shrubs and stuff, it won't be a problem for a long time as long as you keep them watered. Most of the stuff we're planting is not something after that first year or so that you really do have to water very much unless it gets super dry. I will say the one exception to that, for us, at least in our yard, is hydrangeas. If you do plant a hydrangea, you definitely want to keep an eye on it. They can get wilted pretty quickly, especially when they're young. Again, once they get larger and well established, it's really not as big of a deal. But let's see if we can kind of get some plants laid out here and exactly what we want to do, and just decide. If you do remember where I'm standing, you know, I want it to kind of be a pathway. Again, we might extend this bed again at some point, but I really want it to kind of be a pathway, just slipping around, coming right by this crepe myrtle. Follow along and let's see exactly how we do in regards to getting some of these plants laid out and what we're actually thinking about planting in here. Alright guys, so we have multiple different hot pokers here, and these are one of the coolest plants, and I've wanted one for years. I did buy one back in the spring and planted it, and it is a papaya popsicle, I think kaleidoscope red hot poker. This is a Poco red hot poker. We got these from the discount store, and let's see what else we got here. So we've got a Poco orange. I think Poco means small if I'm remembering my Espanol correctly. So basically we have 2 orange, 2 red, and then I believe that this papaya popsicle is the same as the one I got from Lowe's on clearance back in the spring. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of just make a gradual row of these coming out to the edge of the bed, just so we'll have a row of them. I'm going to kind of lay that out and see if I like it or not. If not, then we probably are just going to kind of create a some form of shape with the 5 additional. So we've got 6 total. So we might just kind of make a triangle here and then a triangle here of the different ones. We do have plenty of irises and lilies behind us that I probably could thin out if I do want to fill in the rest of this area and kind of make this slope around. But we shall see exactly what we want to figure out. Too many plants in too little places, but I know that I want to have some alternating textures. That's one thing I want to kind of make sure here, and also just go ahead and get some stuff in the ground that we need to get in the ground. I will say that has been my downfall through the years. I find a deal, I can't leave a good deal alone, and I end up just leaving it in the pot, and sometimes they don't make it. So anyway, let's see exactly what we end up figuring out with these red hot pokers. Alright guys, so we're kind of getting there. We'll kind of figure out this. It's always best to just move your plants around until you get it exactly how you want it to be. Then you can start digging your holes, and if you need to tweak a little bit from there, then that's no problem. So that's just one thing to think about in regards to saving you time and making sure that you're getting exactly where you want to get. Here, 1, 2, 3 are reblooming azaleas. Those are bloomathon. They're kind of a purplish color. This here is a false cypress. It's like a golden mop. So it should stay kind of a golden color. Again, just thinking textures. This here is Distillium, and I have a couple other different varieties of Distillium that have a different texture. So I think I want to put this one as a center. It gets 4 to 6 feet wide, but only about 2 to 3 feet tall. So it won't get much taller than it is now, but it will definitely spread out, so that will kind of fill this center area in. We have our red hot pokers here. This is a Mexican Redbud that is not looking good. I repotted it last year and the top has kind of died out, so I definitely want to get that in the ground. I know I didn't say I would put a tree here, but this one does not get super large, and it does handle drought really well. So I think this will be a good spot in between the free maple and that crepe myrtle there. Again, just different texture, different leaves. They do have a little bit of a ruffle to them. And then they have beautiful blooms in the early spring. So again, that'll be something else that'll be there. All right guys, so see here, got the soil work everywhere except like right up here by the tree. I'm hitting some roots, so I want to be careful. You can go back a little bit more here if we do decide to put anything else in. So, and I need to move that Distillium. Still trying to debate about what to do with using that cypress or not. The window up here is where we sit a lot of times and eat breakfast, so I want to have a pretty view there. And I was watching a Jim Putnam episode from HortTube on YouTube, and he made the comment in one of his videos about, you know, having evergreen foliage. So it kind of got me thinking, you know, maybe I want to put something different down in here. So I'm gonna have to see exactly what I want to do. I do have a couple camellias that I could put in. They take forever to grow, but this would be a pretty good spot for one, and it would be something that would be evergreen. So that might end up finding a spot, but for now, let's go see what else we can find. Y'all, so that was our Mexican Redbud. We got that planted. The reason that I gave it so much water, I just want to make sure there's no air pockets. I'm going to go back and poke it some. And then I also have some basically ties to be able to tie it up, just to make sure that it doesn't blow around a whole lot. When I repotted it last year, I'm wondering, maybe I didn't have that real well and the roots just kept moving. So hopefully this, I mixed in some of that native soil as well as some potting soil and the soil that was in it. And I separated those roots too. That one main root coming out of the top was kind of looping back and kind of curling back around underneath. So I kind of tried to lift that some and make it where it would stay out and actually split. You might have noticed as well, depending on where your camera angle was, I scored the inside of this hole so that the roots just don't hit it and just keep circling around and never go out. So I basically kind of scored it so that they'll hit that and hopefully go into that corner and start growing out that way. So let's get planting the other plants that we have for this area. Hey guys, we really appreciate you watching this week as we get this bed started and finish up with that Mexican Redbud. Join us next week as we finish up this bed and talk a little bit more about exactly what we decide to lay out and put in this area. As always, thanks for watching Dean Family Acres. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell like Mike Tyson did in the 1980s.